So we'll begin the webinar right now. A very good evening to all the panelists and attendees. I'm Khushi Javeri from Keio University, and today we are here for the Global Network Project of University of Tokyo India office. This project aims to attract students primarily from South Asia to encourage them to pursue their further studies in Japan. In today's webinar, we have been joined by a couple of renowned universities in Japan. Each of these universities will give us a 20-minute presentation about their programs offered at undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral levels, followed by a final Q&A session. Students are free to ask questions to our panelists in the Q&A box and not the chat box. Once again, please make sure to ask your questions in the Q&A box. And panelists, please make sure to turn off your video and audio when not presenting. Now I'll share the agenda of today's webinar. I hope you can see my screen. We'll commence the webinar by a brief introduction by Ms. Sakshi, the Program Assistant of Tokyo India office, followed by a presentation for overview of study and work life in Japan by Ms. Thakur from University of Tokyo. Then we'll have a presentation by Kanazawa University by Professor Matsuda from Organization of Global Affairs and Mr. Swapnil as the university student. Then we'll have a presentation by Tokyo International University by Mr. Ben, the admission counselor. And lastly, we'll have a presentation by University of Tsukuba by Mr. Shah, the university's international administrator. Now I'd like to request Ms. Sakshi to give us a brief introduction.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Ms. Khushi. So, hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar, Study and Work in Japan, Session 15. My name is Sakshi Roy, and I'm the Program Assistant here with University of Tokyo India office. First of all, before giving you a brief introduction about our office, I would like to thank all of you. We are so glad that you've participated in our webinars. Thank you for supporting our online seminars by attending. And to all our panelists, thank you for contributing into this webinar. Because of your support and contribution, we have successfully completed 14 series of this amazing Study in Japan project. And there will be many more such series we have planned in advance for August. So we hope you enjoy the experience and receive a beneficial information from our webinars. Today is the 15th session of our webinar series, which is hosted by the University of Tokyo India office and is brought to you by MEX, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology in Japan. Through all these sessions, our mission is to introduce Japanese universities to you and to assist you to study and work in Japan. So as a part of Study in Japan Global Network Project in Southwest Asia by MEX, we provide comprehensive information on Japanese universities. We organize education fairs and seminars throughout India. About the webinar, there will be 3 different Japanese universities representing in each session: national, public, and private universities. All the universities are basically focusing to introduce English-based programs that are offered by them. So I must tell you that studying abroad in Japan means you'll further your studies in a well-rounded education system. You will experience a unique new culture and you will have a chance to gain more international perspective. However, I know 20 minutes presentation is very short time to understand about the university. I would like to recommend all of you to please note down the contact addresses of each university, so that in case if you have further doubts, please feel free to ask them directly later on by writing them. So thank you very much for listening to me. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy today's session. And please don't forget to register for our next webinar tomorrow at 1 p.m. IST. I hope it will help you to consider studies in Japan, seizing the opportunity to build an even brighter and more fulfilling future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sakshi, for the introduction. I'll reshare the agenda slide. Now we'll have a presentation for overview of study and work life in Japan by Ms. Thakur from University of Tokyo.
Thank you, Ms. Sakshi. Hello, everyone. A very good evening to all the students and parents in India. Let me introduce myself in brief. I'm Vaishnavi Thakur, a master's student in the Department of Electrical Engineering and Information Systems at the University of Tokyo. Today, I'll be discussing about study and work life in Japan. So, Why did I choose Japan, and why do I think Japan is one of the best places to live? Next slide, please. As you know, Japan is an island country in East Asia. It is one of the most densely populated and urbanized countries in the world. Life in Japan is very peaceful and full of opportunities. It is evident from the fact that Japanese universities like Osaka and Tokyo have been featured as the most livable cities and the best student cities. Now, I would agree that moving to another country puts a lot of stress on students and parents especially. So let's try to address some of the common concerns here. One of them is the public transportation. Public transportation is the safest and the most convenient option. And students need not worry about different types of food because Japan offers various international cuisines, including Indian, Chinese, Italian, etc. And I'm sure parents must be worried about their child's health. So there is a national health insurance policy, which is considered as one of the best in the world. Now, addressing the common concerns, let's see about the education system in Japan. So, next slide, please. The main difference between the education in Japan and the education in India is, in India, the admissions into the universities is centralized through the entrance exams like GATE, NET, and IIT-JEE. But in Japan, the admissions lies with the universities. So there are around three types of universities, national, public, and private. National universities are founded by the national government of Japan and public universities by the public local bodies. So there is one common misconception regarding education in Japan. One of them is the language of instruction, that is Japanese. So it's not just Japanese, there are also various programs being offered in English. For example, if you consider, there are around 90 courses in 40 universities that are offered for the undergraduate programs and around 160 courses and 51 courses for the graduate programs. So this is the education in Japan, and let's see how international students can get admission into these universities. And next slide, please. And before saying that, I need not specially mention about the infrastructure because the infrastructure here is top notch. And the university dorms, they offer a very peaceful living for a well-balanced academic and personal lifestyle. And now let's see the admission process for the international students. So for admissions into bachelor's program, the usual process is to take an entrance exam and submit the SOPs. For master's and PhD programs, the first step is to find a research interest and then get in touch with the professor. Now, this is a general admission process. So there are also various ways through which students can get into these universities, and these webinars provide an insight into those different types, how international students can get admission into the Japanese universities. Now, I would also like to mention a point here. Generally, we see that many people opt for Western countries for higher studies, but here I present a comparison between the tuition fees for universities in US and universities in Japan. Besides offering the very low tuition fees, some of them offer very attractive scholarships. Some of them are like MEX, JASO, and there are also many local government scholarships and scholarships by the international associations, private foundations, and also university scholarships. So taking advantage of the low tuition fees and also the scholarships, I would say Japan is one of the best places to have the higher education. Now, this is about the education and admission process in Japan. Now, this question must be popping in your head. Now, what after we graduate? So what do we do? Now, there are various job opportunities in Japan, which we'll see in the next slide. So Japan has the lowest unemployment, that is, it is around 2.34%, and the average salary once a student graduates is around 3.9 million per year. Now, you can work in any traditional Japanese company, or you can even target the other global companies that operate in Japan. Now, let me put some extra emphasis on the visa process. So in many countries, the shift between the student to the working visa is a very big hassle process. But here it is very easy, and students can start working right after their graduation. So even students can take advantage of this opportunity. Now, this brings us almost to the end of the presentation. Now, let's see about my life in Japan. So this is how my weekends in Japan are. After the weekdays hustle with research work, you can take out some time for yourself by pursuing various hobbies. There is nothing you cannot do here. You're going to be in one of the most developed, organized, and happening countries, and everything is accessible at our fingertips. There are many clubs and every ward has a sports center where you can indulge in any activity. If you are a foodie, you can explore various cuisines. Now, this picture itself has around 4 to 5 cuisines from different countries. Now, if you are an outdoor person, Japan is definitely not going to disappoint you. You can enjoy every bit of Japan in every season. Now, with this, I conclude my presentation and I wish you all the very best in coming to Japan for higher studies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vaishnavi, for the very comprehensive presentation. We will proceed with the agenda slide. Please give me a second. Now we have a presentation by Kanazawa University. So Kanazawa University is an esteemed national university in Japan. It is popularly referred to as the leader of universities on the Sea of Japan. It has had a significant contribution in promoting higher education in Japan as it offers a range of undergraduate and graduate programs to students. Now I'd like to request Professor Matsuda and Mr. Swapnil to give us an insight into the university.
Okay, thank you for your kind introduction. So let me share my slide.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so can you see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so hello everyone. So I'm very happy to present you a brief introduction and up-to-date information about Kanazawa City and Kanazawa University. I'm Matsuda Makiko. I'm a professor at Kanazawa University. My major is applied linguistics, and I'm currently teaching Japanese language and culture to international students, and also supervise 10 graduate students. I'm also an alumni of Kanazawa University. When I was a university student, I have been to India to study Sanskrit. So for me, India is my second home country. So let me introduce Kanazawa City before introducing Kanazawa University, because you may not be familiar with the city in Japan. So the city of Kanazawa, the home of Kanazawa University, is located in the heart of Japan. Here, it takes only 2.5 hours by Super Express from Tokyo and around 2 hours from Kyoto. So you can enjoy living in Kanazawa, shopping in Tokyo, and sightseeing in Kyoto. Actually, Kanazawa is a samurai town, so it has a castle. This is Kanazawa Castle. The building you can see in the photo, a gate of the castle. In April, cherry blossoms are very beautiful here. Originally, Kanazawa University campus was located within the wall of Kanazawa Castle, and I have studied there. And you can see the samurai parade like this in June. So maybe you can enjoy the very historical, so size attractive places in Kanazawa. And for those of you living in hot South Asia, snow may be very attractive. So if you want to enjoy the deep snow, Kanazawa is a very great place. So there are various ski resorts and snowy mountains within a 1 hour drive. Okay, so photo shows one of this. This is a Shirakawa-go, it's a World Heritage Village. Of course, Kanazawa is also at the urban zones and with buildings over 30 stories high. And there are many restaurants including Indian food, Sri Lanka food, Nepali, and Pakistani. So I'll leave you with the introduction of Kanazawa City and move on to the introduction of Kanazawa University. So let me show the facts first. So as Kushi-san already mentioned, so it is National University and its fourth largest campus in Japan, and we have 17 schools, and this is English medium instruction for graduate school and some undergraduate schools. And we have more than 10,000 students in total, and we have 64,000 million yen is budget, and journal citation ranking is 18th in Japan, and scholarship offered by Kanazawa University, and we have more than 600 international students and from 43 countries, And number of number of staff is around 3,000. And this is a campus photo. Okay, so let me share with you some information about today's Kanazawa University. So as I mentioned before, so we have around 10,000 students and 80,000 for undergraduate and 2,000 for master and doctor. And we have 4 colleges and 18 schools. And so humanities, School of Humanities, so law, economy, teacher education, international studies, and science and engineering. So mathematics and physics, chemistry, mechanical engineering, frontier engineering, electrical information and communication engineering, geoscience and civil engineering, biological science and technology. And School of Medical Science and Pharmaceutical Science, Pharmacy, Health Sciences. And now we started new colleges. The name is of College of Philosophy in Interdisciplinary Sciences. So this is a very brand new. It was just established in April 2021. And as the first college in Japan to educate experts in transdisciplinary sciences with knowledge on ICT, AI, IoT, and big data. It will educate students in the following 3 aspects. So innovation in society, tourism science, and human augmentation. And also, so we will start new schools, that is School of Tourism and Design in next April. And 2 colleges and 3 schools are available. So English medium instruction available. So this School for the Future of Innovation Society and the School of Tourism, Science and Design and Division of International Students. So, and that is graduate school. So we have 7 graduate schools and 1 united graduate schools. So human and social environmental studies, natural science and technology, medical sciences, advanced preventive medical sciences, and frontier science initiative. Oh, excuse me. It moves. So, okay. So around 20,000 students got master degree and 5,000 doctor degree. Oh, we're very first. So I don't know why, but so when you want to get admission, so please prepare for your CV and your research portfolio and your research proposal. And you, but most important is to get full motivation, highly motivated and with big dream. Okay, let's move on to the next information. So, okay, and also we have very big network. So around 300 international partner institutions from the 46 countries, 1 region, like this. And now we have around 600 international students from 38 countries and 20 from South Asia, especially from 17 from Bangladesh. And we offer 3 types of dormitories, Sakigake, Hokume, Keio International House. And 2 dormitories are share house. So you can stay with Japanese student and you can get very good memories living together. And also we have advising system like tutor system. So you can So get the support from Japanese students or international students for 1 year. And if you want to discuss the details, Kanazawa University offers online individual counseling by schooling contact, so please contact there. Okay, so thank you for your attention. Now it's your turn. Come and study in Kanazawa, Japan. See you. Thank you. Okay, next please.
We can see the presentation.
Yeah, okay. So a very good evening to everyone. My name is Swapnil. So first I would like to thank University of Tokyo India office for organizing this webinar, and to all the participants for joining in, and Kanazawa University for giving me this opportunity. So I'll be sharing my experience, whatever time I've spent in Kanazawa University. So this is a short introduction. I'm Swapnil Suryavanshi. I'm from Maharashtra, India. I did my bachelor's in civil engineering, and currently I'm pursuing my master's in environmental engineering from Kanazawa University Graduate School of Natural Science and Technology, Division of Environmental Design. So I came to Kanazawa, especially Japan, to be specific, in 2019, just before COVID hit. So at that time, I enjoyed the 6 month around 4 5 months around period COVID free, but after that the situation got worse. So how I will share my experience, rather how I've spent. So first of all, I'd like to talk about why I chose Kanazawa University. So since Kanazawa University, as already addressed by by Professor Matsuda, it's a national university which is located in the city of Kanazawa, and it has two campuses, Kakuma and Takaramachi. So when I talk about Kanazawa University and why I chose, because firstly, it was the research, experienced faculties and cutting edge research facilities. So studying in India, I had the opportunity to collaborate with the professor who currently my guide, joined in a research project, which gave me, more insights about Kanazawa University and got to know more about Kanazawa University. So firstly, it will be the experienced faculties and cutting edge research facilities. Secondly is the location. So Kanazawa it's not a small town, or not rather a big city. It's like a perfect balance where you can get perfect balance and amalgamation of like old culture and modern Japan. So you will get the opportunity to experience everything. And third would be the scholarship and research grants. So when I talk about education and research, so we have Nano Life Science, the Nano LSI, which is a world premier international research center, funded by the government of Japan, which especially focuses on nano life science and the human life science. Secondly, we have the Cancer Research Institute, which is specifically focused on the curing the cancer disease. And thirdly, we, as addressed, as already told by Matsuda Sensei, the newly established College of Philosophy of Interdisciplinary Sciences. So I would like to talk about here the specifics about the Graduate School of Natural Science and Technology, to which I belong to. So it has six schools: the Mathematical and Physical Sciences, Material Chemistry, Mechanical Sciences, Electrical Engineering, Computer Sciences, Environmental Design, and Natural System. So all these schools belonging to Graduate School of Natural Science and Technology offer programs in English, so you can and Japanese. So you don't need to be worried about whether this programs offered in the graduate school will be in Japanese or English. So lastly is about the scholarship. So there are various scholarship programs available for privately financed international students. Some are offered by the university and some by the private organization. So of course we have the mixed scholarship, and apart from that we have the Satoyo International Scholarship, Honjo International Scholarship, which is privately funded. So I will share in this slide about my life at university campus and my 1 day schedule. So it's fairly like I take Japanese classes in the morning, and then afternoon I attend lectures and research work. And if you want to get involved in club activities, then of course there are lots of club activities where you can get the opportunity to interact with Japanese people and to engage in different activities. So the monthly expenses as compared to other big metropolitan cities, the monthly expenses in Kanazawa are comparatively less. The rent is around 50,000 yen, and all the electricity and other amenities expenses would be around 10,000, health insurance and other things. So total, all in all, it will cost you around 1 lakh, around 1 lakh yen. So I think it's one of the bigger point to be considered when you think of studying in Japan. So as I told you, in my one-day schedule, I have the research activities as well as lab parties where you get the opportunity to get to know about Japan, and also the research activities where you will have the guidance through experienced faculties. Now, I'll quickly talk about the International Student Committee, which we have in Kanazawa University, the International Student Committee for Graduate School of Natural Science and Technology, and second is for the humanities. So it's an international student committee which consists of students from different countries, and it's basically try to help the international student get accustomed to the life in Japan in Kanazawa and get through all the hurdles in initial stages of their life in Japan. Secondly, Kanazawa Cultural Exchange Ambassador Program. So this is quite exclusive program for Kanazawa University, where you get the opportunity to get immersed into the culture of Kanazawa and be an ambassador to have an exchange of culture. And third is the KU-SJU Tandem Program. This is a newly organized program by the Kanazawa University, where you get every international student is assigned a Japanese student, where they help you or have a language exchange or cultural exchange or any sort of help. And as far as international student committee is concerned, we have various field trips, ski trips, where you can enjoy and engage in different activities. So lastly, I would like to conclude, like we have International Student Committee organized by the, Food Festival organized by the International Student Committee and the Kanazawa Cultural Exchange. So I would like to conclude by saying that whatever time I spent in Kanazawa University have been very wonderful, and it will give you a different experience, and hope you also apply to Kanazawa University. It will be a life-changing moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Matsuda and Mr. Swapnil, for a very detailed presentation. Now we'll begin the 5-minute Q&A session. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A box. So would you like to answer any question in particular? Or I can pick up a few questions if that makes it easy.
Thank you for your question. So I'd like to answer to the question for so you are looking for the Kelty, Mr. Kelty, Miss Kelty. I'm looking for the admission in MSc Astronomy followed by PhD. What's the process? Yeah, so maybe we have astronomy followed by PhD. So please prepare for your research proposal, and please find your professor you want to get learned, and please send a contact email to the professor directly. Maybe then the admission process will be start. So Neil-san, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I would just like to say that you should be aware of the deadlines for the admission, as the intake in Japan is either in spring or fall. So keep all the deadlines and just apply. Yeah, that's it.
Also, I would like to add, it would be great if you could share a few links in the chat box. I suppose you already have, but if you have links of the application guidelines of different programs, it would be great if you could share it in the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And also, we'd like to introduce our special system for the private consultation. So Takashima-san, could you introduce?
Sure. Okay.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Can you see now?
Yes.
Yes.
We can.
Okay. I will start from Kanazawa University. So lastly, let me give you guys some additional information of our university. Kanazawa University is planning to offer a new online consultation service soon. You can consult one-to-one with an academic advisor in this university and have a great advice from him or her. And so if you are interested in this service, you can get the information and the email address to be introduced on the next page. These are contact information, email address, and the department in charge. So if you are one who are interested in the service or want to ask any question about our university to the department in charge, please contact us with the email address. Actually, these information are listed on the website of our university. So please check it. Okay, that is all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. It would be great if you could share those links in the chat box as well. Yeah, thank you. There are a few questions. I'd like to pick up a few for Professor Matsuda and Mr. Swapnil to answer. Is there any PhD program in Japanese history?
Yes, we have. So we have PhD program about Japanese history, right? History.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you want to research about Japanese history, Japanese language proficiency is now required. So please get prepared for that.
There's another question that says, what is the total expenditure for studying for 4 years at the undergraduate program at the university?
It's standard tuition fee of the national university in Japan. So maybe 1 year around 5,000 USD 1 year. So maybe 20,000 USD for 4 years in 4 years. Thank you.
Is MBA program available?
Yeah, we have MBA.
Okay. Do you have masters in international relations? And if you do, what is the admission procedure, and is it mandatory for students to take the entrance examination?
Yes, yeah, of course we have international studies, and the admission process is the same as the other courses. So please prepare your research plan, and please make a contact with the supervisor you want to be taken.
Is the student required to take the entrance examination?
Yes.
And is it online or in person?
Now we offered the chance for taking online because now the borderline close. But maybe from next year we still keep on giving the chance to take an entrance exam online.
Okay. Is there bachelors in architecture?
What do you think, Neil-san?
I think there is Faculty of Geoscience and Civil Engineering. So as far as I can think, architecture is not available, but civil engineering and geoscience is available. Yeah.
Is it the same for masters as well?
Masters belongs to the environmental design group, so where you can have a wide spectrum of opportunity in civil engineering, environmental engineering, geotechnical, structural. So I think then some of the subjects can overlap in architecture and structural. So I think so. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. We can pick up two more questions. Could you elaborate a little on scholarships?
Mm.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Is it
So,
difficult to get the scholarships, the internal or the external scholarship?
Neil-san, can you answer?
Okay, so I would like to say that apart from MEX, I think in Kanazawa University, there are several privately funded scholarship. But the only thing I would like to say is like, you need to have certain level of Japanese proficiency because they expect you to have some Japanese language ability. And if you have that, of course, you can get the scholarship. So some of my friends who are like, okay in Japanese, they see the scholarship. So of course there are scholarship available, but as far as you can do your best, you will get it. Yeah.
I would like to add to what Mr. Swapnil just said. Most of the students coming from the overseas come to the have the mixed scholarship. So I recommend international students to really look into the admission guidelines. The links are already shared in the chat box. So I recommend students to really look into the mixed scholarship especially. And we can take one more question. Is geoscience available for undergraduate students?
Yes.
Thank you so much for answering the questions. You can continue answering the questions even when other universities are presenting. And you can also share links in the chat box. Once again, thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
I'll reshare the agenda slide. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen. Now we have the presentation by Tokyo International University. So TIU is one of the well-renowned private universities in Japan. It possesses a highly diverse international learning environment with more than 1,300 students from 68 countries. It also provides an all-English curriculum to students interested in business, economics, and international relations. Job prospects are also wide for students graduating from their programs. Now I'd like to request Mr. Ben to give us an insight into the university.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Kishi. And I'm actually really excited to be here today. I know that tonight is the opening ceremony of the Olympics, but we really appreciate everyone who was able to join us tonight. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with my presentation. Hopefully I won't keep you all too long, but I'm really excited. All right, so as we begin, as mentioned, I am here representing Tokyo International University, and I'm here specifically representing our Undergraduate E-Trac program for the 2022, admission cycle. Unfortunately, I am not here to represent our master's and PhD programs. Those have a separate admissions team. However, at the end of the presentation, I will be sending kind of the information for those programs and sending out the contact information for them. So please, if you are interested in master's or PhD, please reach out to them yourself. I am here today specifically talking about undergraduate. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So Tokyo International University was founded in 1965. However, our E-Trac program began just 6 years ago in 2015. And in those 6 years, we have really grown quite a bit. We went from around 40 international students to over 1,300, and they make up about 20% of our campus total. So we have about 6,500 total students, and 1,300 are international students. They come, as mentioned by Ms. Kushi, they come from 68 countries around the world, including a number of students from India. And our faculty is quite diverse as well. 65% of our faculty are from outside of Japan as well. And they come from all around the world, from the United States, from France, from Turkey, from Syria, from Indonesia, from Sri Lanka. And we also have professors from India as well. So you're going to be getting that kind of diverse viewpoint, not only from your peers in the classroom, but also from your professors as well. So you'll really be able to hear kind of a wide variety of viewpoints. So as said before, we are called Tokyo International University. However, our current campus is located in a city called Kawagoe, which is about a 30-minute train ride from the city center of Tokyo. However, in 2023, so for any of you who would be joining us in 2022, just 1 year after you join, we'll be opening up a brand new campus in the center of Tokyo in an area called Ikebukuro. And that's going to be our global campus. So for any of our English track students, any of our E-Trac students, that will be your campus. And that's going to be really exciting, in particular for, when you're job hunting and things like that. You'll be right in the heart of Tokyo. Just to talk a little bit more about why we think Tokyo is such a great city to study in. Of course, Japan is a wonderful country to study in, and that was touched on, by the earlier presentation. It's a great place. However, Tokyo in particular is a fantastic place to study. It was ranked as the second best student city in the world by QS Magazine for, I believe, 3 years in a row. And that's for a number of factors. Beyond the fact that there's, tons of trains and it's really easy to get around and it's super safe because Japan as a whole is extremely safe. It's also just a really fun city to be in for students. There's a lot to do. There's tons of food, kind of no matter what your hobby is, you can do it. And it's also relatively cheap compared to cities, particularly some of the cities on this list, like London or Sydney or places like New York City. Tokyo is much more affordable. So it's a really great place to study in. Moving into our undergraduate E-Trac program, we have 3 majors available. They are International Relations, Digital Business and Innovation, which is actually a Bachelor of Science and is our newest major, and Business Economics. We don't have any other majors besides these 3. So just Business Economics, Digital Business and Innovation, and International Relations. So we'll talk a little bit more about those. And again, I'm here just to talk about our undergraduate program today. However, I will mention we do have master's programs for all 3 of these majors. And we do have PhD programs in both economics and digital business and innovation. However, again, I won't be speaking on that today, and I'll give you the information for that at the end of my presentation. So for our first major, our business economics major, this is kind of your more traditional business degree. We have a number of focus areas like management, marketing, finance, economics, and you get to pick one of those areas to really focus on and hone your skills in. And our professors really pride themselves on teaching you practical skills that you can use outside of the classroom, right? Because you're going to university to earn a degree to help you, get a better job and kind of participate in the workforce. So they really pride themselves on focusing on those areas. So you definitely know that this is kind of a great major if you're looking to go into business. Our second major, and as I mentioned, our newest major, that's actually in its 2nd year now, is a Bachelor of Science in Digital Business and Innovation. So because it is a Bachelor of Science, you can see this is a little more of a technical major. It's the only kind of English top degree of its kind in Japan. And it's, we think, really important in today's, kind of modern day and age. So as I mentioned, it's a little more technical focus. So we've got things like, focus areas like artificial intelligence and deep learning. You can focus on machine learning, or things like digital finance and fintech. So blockchain technologies, cryptocurrencies. But we also have things like digital marketing and analytics. So, learn how to market in the digital age. Or, big data analytics, which is kind of an ever expanding field right now. So for any student who's maybe a little more math or science focused, this might be the major for you. You can even learn things like coding. Along with this major, when we began it, we started a partnership with a company named Tech Mahindra, which is one of the largest IT companies in India. And we opened up a brand new digital innovation lab with them. on our campus. Now, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we haven't been able to utilize the lab for as many research purposes as we want. However, we are doing things like holding career practicum experiences with Tech Mahindra. So our students take a course where they work with people in the industry, right, and really are learning those skills. So this is a really kind of great aspect to this major to really help you, again, for your future, for those jobs in the future that you're hoping to get. Our final major is international relations. Now, this is for those students who are maybe focused on kind of a global perspective or want to know how countries interact, learn the causes of international trade or international conflict. Again, we have a number of focus areas here that you can choose to really, sharpen your teeth on. But one thing that we do like to point out about this major is that, well, of course, a number of students in this major go on to work for, NGOs or maybe, the United Nations or their government back home. This major can also be great for students who might be wanting to go into more of the international side of business because it does provide you with those skills. So this is a great major for students who kind of are more international minded. And I forgot to mention this a little bit ago. However, all of our majors are taught entirely in English. So it's an English medium degree over 4 years. So you don't need to know any Japanese before you come to our university. We do require 1 semester of it, but you don't need to know any Japanese before you come. And most of our students don't. As I mentioned, we do require at least 1 semester of Japanese for all of our students to take. But you can stop after that if you like. However, we do encourage you to continue to take more Japanese at the university. You can achieve full fluency by the time you graduate, and it's something that many of our students have done as well. So if that's something you're interested in, we definitely encourage you, and it can definitely help you when you're applying to jobs and job hunting in Japan as well. So we know that moving to a new country, especially a country that can be as different from what you're used to as Japan, can be really hard for students and their families. So we do have an entire office dedicated to student life support. They're part of the International Exchange Office, and they do kind of all of those things that you would expect to support you. So, they'll do airport pickup, they'll help you with a visa renewal or opening a bank account. And we even have interpretation services for our students if they need to go to, the doctor, or they just need kind of assistance during, a difficult any matter that they might be having. So we really are there to support you. On top of that, on our campus, we also have a cafeteria, a canteen that is entirely vegetarian friendly and also entirely halal certified, because we know how important kind of appropriate dining can be for our students. On top of this, in the area around our campus and our new campus, there are a number of different options to get both halal dining and vegetarian dining, as well as supermarkets that cater to that as well. We know that that's really important to our students, and we just wanted to make that clear. We, of course, also have a number of sports and clubs that students can join. So if you're interested in soccer or football or, archery, track and field, we have a baseball team, you can do all of those. And we also have a Model United Nations team as well that was started entirely by our international students. They've done really, really well. They're one of the strongest teams in Japan right now. And while the pandemic has put kind of a pause on a lot of the Model UN events, we really hope that if you're interested in that you'll join that as well. And for any student who's looking to major in international relations in their undergraduate program, we also have a scholarship available that can help waive your enrollment fee if you join the team for a few years. We, of course, also have an international festival every year that's put on by both our international and Japanese students. It's a great way to kind of showcase both your culture and experience the culture of your fellow students, and also kind of get involved with the community. We have a ton of community members that come every year as well. So that's something that you can look forward to. We, of course, have dormitories available to our students on one of our campuses. They come fully furnished. We have both single and shared rooms, and the rent is very comparable to other places in the area. So you can look forward to that. We also have a number of exchange programs for students. We have a sister city in America. So if you're looking to study abroad during your 4 years, that's also an option for you. Another thing that I really want to mention is our career center, right? So job hunting. We know that this is really important to our students, and we know that's important for students both looking abroad and in Japan. But we just, we have an entire center that caters to our English-speaking students. They do things like resume review, interview practice. They can put you in touch with companies that are looking to hire international students. And they also do things like bring companies to campus to host information sessions and hold a career fair every year as well. One thing we are really proud of our Career Center is that they have a 95% job placement rate for our students prior to graduation. So because of the way the job hunting system works, most students end up getting a job offer prior to graduation, and 95% of our international students received one before graduation in 2020. So you can expect to kind of receive that support during your time as well. And you can know that you'll be able to more than likely find a job as well. And this is for students both looking in Japan and outside of Japan. However, if maybe kind of, job hunting during your senior year at university isn't the path you want to take, there also is a job hunting visa that you can apply for through the university as well. And you can get that for up to 1 year. Now, to move into talking a little bit about tuition and scholarships and things like that, the MEX scholarship was of course mentioned, and we do encourage all of our students to apply for that. It is a really great scholarship, and it can really, really help offset a lot of your kind of tuition expenses and living expenses in Japan. However, TIU ourselves also offers merit-based tuition reduction scholarships to all of our students as well. So as you can see, we have 4 levels of tuition reduction scholarships: 30, 50, 80, and 100%. And as these are merit-based scholarships, they are based primarily on your application materials that you apply with. So things like your transcript, your English proficiency score, your personal statement, your extracurriculars, things like that. And when you apply for the scholarship, it's really easy. You check a box on the application, you write a quick paragraph, and then you find out your scholarship result at the same time that you find out your admission result as well. And as you can see, if you get something, let's say like a 50% tuition reduction scholarship, it can help you save up to $5,000 US per year just with a 50% scholarship. So you're saving up to $20,000 over 4 years. So this is a really, really great option for students and can really help them. And the other great thing, again, because the process is so easy, the majority of our students are receiving some form of help in this department. So you can know that if you've done a good job in school, you'll definitely receive some form of support during this time. As I mentioned, we also have that Model UN scholarship available for students as well, if you're looking to apply for international relations. And you just have to join the MUN team for 1 year during your first 2 years. And you can apply for an enrollment fee waiver as well. So that's really exciting for any students who have experience in that. And then another scholarship we do like to mention is from JASA, the Japan Student Services Organization. And it provides a living stipend to help with living expenses during your first either 6 or 12 months and during your time at university in Japan. The really great thing about this scholarship is that we have well over a 95% acceptance rate for the scholarship. So if you apply to a university and are accepted and decide to enroll, this is definitely one that you'll more than likely be getting and can really help during that first year at university. Students can also work part-time in Japan, up to 28 hours per week. And the great thing about TIU is, well, of course, there's a number of job opportunities off campus. We have students who do English teaching or who work, with kids doing like a kids activity instructor. We have kids that work at restaurants or convenience stores. We also have a number of options for jobs on campus as well for students. And then just talk a little bit about eligibility. We know that students are interested in. As I mentioned, you do need to submit your transcript. We do accept both A-levels and IB, as well as the kind of HSC program as well. However, you also need to submit an English proficiency score. So we accept a number of tests. We accept IELTS, Duolingo, Toefl. We accept TOEIC. Students can use O-level scores. If you have an IB diploma, you can also use your IB score as well. And while it's written here that our minimum score for IELTS, for example, is a 5.5, We do recommend trying to aim as high as possible to help with both your admission and your scholarships. The average accepted student that's receiving a scholarship right now has between a 6 and a 6.5 on their IELTS. So we do just like to mention that to students, that it's good to get as kind of high as you can on those tests to really help with that. And then kind of just nearing the end of our presentation, I want to mention some dates for both our April and our September intake. So both our spring and fall admission. We have already completed our first application period for April admission in June, but we'll have 2 more coming up, one in September and one in November. And then if you're looking to join us in September, the fall of 2022, we have 4 application periods. We have 1 this November, and then we have 3 more in 2022 in January, February, and April. So thank you all so much for listening to my presentation. I really appreciate it. Again, I know that tonight there's a lot going on. So I know, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Again, I just want to reiterate that I will be posting links for both our master's and our PhD programs after I'm finished in the chat, so you can all check that out. And then also that our 3 majors that we have available are business economics, digital business and innovation, and international relations. So we don't have any other majors than that, unfortunately. But if you're interested in those, we definitely want to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ben, for the very insightful presentation. We can proceed with the 5-minute Q&A session. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A box. So would you like to pick up a few?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have them pulled up. The first one that I see is, do we have a pre-university summer program for students in 10th to 12th year? We unfortunately don't have any programs at this time, in particular, kind of given the current state of events around the world. Holding programs like that is a little difficult, but that is something that we had been in the works for us before things got the way they were. So that might be something that will exist in the future. So definitely stay on the lookout for that, but we don't at the moment. And so we don't have any. The other question that I see is about entrance tests. We do not have any entrance tests. You don't need, for example, the SAT or anything. However, we do have some students that use the SAT as their English proficiency score, because that is another one that we can accept. So that is one that you can use. And then for acceptance rate, unfortunately, that is not something that we publicize at the moment. But just know that if you've worked hard, it's definitely between, you know, your transcript, your English proficiency score, and your personal statement. Those are definitely something that you guys can really work hard at, and I think you know, get admission for. And then 2 students asked about the master's program and scholarship details. Again, unfortunately, I don't work on our master's admissions team. So I'll be sharing the details for that in the chat. But our only master's programs are in economics, digital business and innovation, which is Master's of Science, and international relations. And then we have a PhD in economics and a PhD in digital business and innovation. And our majors, again, for undergraduate students, are business economics, international relations, and digital business and innovation. So we don't have any other programs like that, unfortunately. I apologize. So we don't have anything like chemistry. We unfortunately don't offer any engineering. We don't offer any medical program or any hard science like chemistry or biology. I think that's it.
Yes, you've answered most of the questions. I think a very common question that students ask is that, is TOEFL and IELTS mandatory?
Yeah, so we require one type of English proficiency test. So it doesn't need to be TOEFL, it doesn't need to be IELTS, it doesn't need to be Duolingo, but we do require one of those. However, if the student has taken their O-levels in English, we do have, and I'll post the link to our application guidelines that lists the details, but if you've taken like your first or second language English in your O-levels, that is something that you can use as your proficiency if you've taken it in your IB program. The grades for that can count as your English proficiency as well. So kind of depending on your situation, I know it's a little complicated, we do accept a kind of wide variety of English proficiency tests.
All right, okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Ben, for answering the
course.
questions. You can answer if there are any Oh, there's one more question. We can take one more question.
There's one about masters, but again, I can't give you any specifics on the details because I'm not on that team. So what I really encourage you is to reach out to our master's admissions team directly. They have a ton of experience in helping students, and they'll be able to kind of give you more direct advice that can help you in the application process.
Okay. Thank you so much. You can continue answering the questions in the Q&A box.
Of
And if there are
course.
any links you'd like to share, you can share in the chat box.
Definitely. And thank you so much, Ms. Kushi. This has been a fantastic event.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Have a good day.
I'll reshare the agenda slide. Now we'll have a presentation by University of Tsukuba. So Tsukuba University is an acclaimed national university in Japan. It provides some of the best programs to international students in a myriad of fields, especially sciences. It has established several research centers for undergraduate, graduate, and PhD students. The university is also home to several Nobel laureates and Olympians. Now I'd like to request Mr. Shah to give us an insight into the university.
Hello, Ms. Kushi. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Ms. Kushi, for the wonderful introduction, and appreciate that. And I'm now going to take over the screen. So if you can just bear with me for a second, then I shall begin. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen still, and you can see my presentation.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So here we go. So hello, everybody. Thank you very much for coming and staying on with us today. Happy Olympics Day, as you all know. And, and thanks for choosing us today and to be with us today. And my name is Mahdi, and I am here representing the University of Tsukuba. And University of Tsukuba is first of all, Tsukuba is the name of a city. It is a science city. It's a little bit similar to Palo Alto in California, where it's a particular city is designated to become a research and development center. It is said that about 40 to 50% of the R&D budget of the country is spent in this city. And so, which basically means that all the leading national research institutes are here. There are 30 national research institutes, including JAXA, the Space Agency, and for example, the ICE, the Advanced Industrial Science and Technology Agency, and NIMS, the nanotechnology, the material sciences, basically nanotechnology agency, is here. So apart from that, there are 200 private ones in the city, which means basically that the city is small, but it's about 225,000, 250,000 people strong. But 1 in 10 people here have PhDs, and also it's highly international. So you can hear all kinds of languages being spoken in the center of the town. So it's a really nice place to be, surrounded by nature and all. And it's only about 45 minutes away from Tokyo. It is also about 45 to 50 minutes away by bus from Narita International Airport. So you can go visit Tokyo anytime, and you can fly back to your country anytime. So in that sense, it's it's in a good place. And if you have the time and money, you can always go to Tokyo and then fly to different areas, visit all the wonderful areas that Japan has to offer, and so on. Yeah, so it's so Tsukuba is in a nice place, but apart from the city, and that's one unique point, it has several features, characteristics, DNA kind of, which I need to talk to you about. You're looking at this elderly gentleman here. His name was Dr. Jigoro Kano, and he was a sportsman. He invented the sport of judo. So it's not, contrary to popular belief, judo is not a traditional ancient sport. Actually, it is a modern sport. It was actually sort of compiled by him. He was doing research on hand-to-hand combat and self-defense techniques, and then he came up with judo, and he also came up with philosophy of life constructed around the training regimen of judo. So here we have Dr. Jigoro Kano. He starts judo. He also started a teachers college, which eventually became the Tokyo Higher Normal School, which eventually moved to Tsukuba to become the University of Tsukuba. And like today's Olympics, the commencement ceremony is happening right now, and the IOC, right? And so he was the first Asian IOC member. Because the IOC was a small club of European men, basically, and he was the first one to be able to, first person from Asia to become an IOC member. So there are pictures of him wearing a top hat and a three-piece suit and conversing in English. And he was pretty conversant in foreign languages. So you can see him kind of talking to everybody. So he was both Eastern and Western. And most importantly, he brought in 7,000 international students to his own school from abroad. So he was the first one to welcome international students. So this sort of like thing is this thing that he started is very important to us, and it is part of our DNA, and it is reflected in our diverse student body and student and faculty body. And so we have over 2,000 international students from all over the world, from 110 countries and regions around the world, and also we have at the moment close to 30 Indian students at undergraduate, master's, and PhD levels. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the education and research philosophy here. It is comprehensive, research intensive. It is very rare for universities in Japan to be as comprehensive as our university is. There's an art department, there's a sport department, there's a medical sciences department, there's a hospital, there is a supercomputer lab, there is a robotics lab, there's an arts and engineering melded together, some weird subject lab. It's so interesting. It's not just that people are focused on one thing. It's people also focused on sort of merging different kind of disciplines, and that's why it kind of makes it really interesting place to be. You're looking at this Iron Man kind of thing here, and fortunately or unfortunately for many people, maybe here, it doesn't shoot lasers and it doesn't fly, but it actually does something much more important, which is to help rehabilitate patients who are unable to walk. It is connected to a large data, a big data processing unit, basically like a supercomputer. And it comes up with calculations as to the optimal level of movement that the patient should be using to practice walking again or walking for the first time. So this technology, or this medical technology, has been known to provide people with walking abilities at a much quicker rate compared to regular rehabilitation techniques. So I'm talking about how the robot suit, not because we are robot suit school, but because it is a reflection of how this university approaches disciplines. It encourages cross-disciplinary work. So you have to have that sort of flexible attitude when thinking of applying here is something that I need to point out to you. It has a sense of purpose other than doing interdisciplinary science and bringing in the world to do it. This thing here, the SDGs, and I'm sure you know about this, and if you don't, you really should. It's the Sustainable Development Goals put forth by the United Nations in 2015. The deadline is 2030. And our university has contributed tremendously in research and education that is related to SDGs. So this is a reflection of research and education and practice. And we have achieved first position in the country in SDGs 11, 17, and 15. And we are in the top 100, between 101st and 200 in terms of Global Times impact ranking in SDGs. So this is really important to us. Now, I'm going to talk about the undergraduate level programs. And but before I go, let me just talk about this a little bit. This is the comprehensiveness of the university. It has programs in art and life environmental sciences and social international studies and so on, including engineering, informatics, and everything in between. And not everything is available in English, okay? We are trying to internationalize as fast as possible, but many programs are offered in English. It is possible to graduate in English language. And now I'm going to talk about the undergraduate level. And so here are some undergraduate programs that high school students can think about. And so there's the life and environmental sciences programs, which offers biology, agrobiological resource sciences, and geosciences. So this is basically a pure biology and related subjects, yeah. And so within it, if you want to focus on, let's say, microbiology or something like that, then it's possible. So it's not as stiff as it looks, okay? But there is flexibility. But do know that these people, the people who study and research and teach here, are highly dedicated to biological fields. Okay, so you'll be in good hands if you want to go into biology or biological sciences. The International Social Sciences is a school which is an amalgam of social sciences and international issues. So and it has a diverse group of faculty members, and it has looked at all kinds of issues around the world. For example, Mexican drug gang problem, or the issue of Society 5.0 and the implementation problems in terms of, and also the theoretical aspects of implementation of such ideas, basically preparing for future societies. So it is just it's just a very kind of invigorating program to be in. Global Issues is a program that is much more focused on creating human resources who can do project management in solving global issues. So the idea is basically to be able to work in international agencies in the future, such as United Nations related agencies such as FAO or WHO or something like that, or UNESCO or UNICEF or something like that. So it uses project-based learning, and so people are sort of students are set free to work in groups, and then they bring back results to the class. So it's a highly intensive class. Interdisciplinary engineering is also preparing engineers of the future. So it's deliberately not set as mechanical or civil or electrical like that. It has all those elements, but it deliberately doesn't pigeonhole itself into those measures. It has the society or changing society in mind when approaching engineering and applied physics. And lastly, Japan Expert is for students who are studying Japanese and who want to eventually enter Japanese courses. So you can enter as an N2 or N3 student and take a crash course once you get admitted, and then you can enter regular courses with Japanese students. So it's kind of like a special entry program. So there are 5 programs that high school students can think of. Okay, and I am now going to talk. I'm just going to talk about these things just a little bit quickly, because I already did a brief introduction. This is the interdisciplinary engineering, and please look at the website. I put up this QR code for your convenience, and you can look away or look into it, and or I wanted to say snap away, and start looking into it. And also, this is the Global Issues program, that I was telling you about before. And this is the biological sciences program, yeah. And this is the international social studies program. Okay, so due to lack of time, I'm going to now push forward. Okay, this is the Japan expert program I was talking about. And now I'm going to talk about graduate programs, okay? High school students, please stay because I'm going to talk about student life, which applies to everybody here. So now university students and above who are looking for graduate programs, this is the section of graduate programs. And here we have divided the school into 3 different clusters, basically. And so, for example, if you look at degree programs in life and earth, the Graduate School of Science and Tech, then, for example, somebody in the engineering sciences, if he or she is they are very, curious about biology, then they can take classes of biology. If a biologist is really kind of concerned about manipulating big data, then he or she can, or they can take classes in computer sciences or intelligent and mechanical interaction systems or something like that. So this kind of like cross-pollination of ideas is greatly encouraged at graduate school level. Ms. Koshi was referring to the Nobel laureates who have come from University of Tsukuba. So there are 3 Nobel laureates who were from Tsukuba, and one of them was Professor Shirakawa, who created the conductive polymer, which eventually led to its inclusion in smartphones. So you cannot have smartphones today without conductive polymer. And conductive polymer research was done by a University of Tsukuba professor, and he did it in collaboration with he was a chemist, but he did it in collaboration with a physicist and another physicist. And so it's sort of this like cross collaboration, cross pollination of ideas that he advocated, or he practiced. They didn't advocate, but actually practiced. So we are advocating such kind of cross-pollination of ideas. So if you care about your discipline, but also are very curious about other disciplines, this is the right place to be. There are some programs which are already interdisciplinary by nature. So there's the human biology program, which is, I'll just read this thing here. Global leaders able to lead, sorry about the typo here, able to lead the next generation of science and tech. And so here you have the human biology in the center, and then the other disciplines such as computer science and also material sciences interacting with this. This is again, very interesting program. And so please look into it if you have backgrounds in life sciences or medicine or chemistry or computing, and if you want to go into this field. This is, again, I called it a weird major. I didn't mean it in a demeaning way. What I meant was that it's highly unique. It is lies at the intersection of informatics and engineering and arts, psychology, neuroscience, etc. And it's about empowering people. And what it ends up being is that it explores technologies in augmented reality and virtual realities and playing with the senses and playing with the 5 senses and allowing, of course, in this case, allowing people to walk better. Again, it has to do with medical sciences as well. So it goes into various different directions. So you have to kind of look into the website to find out more. There's also master's doctoral program in life sciences innovation, which explores disease mechanism and bioinformatics and food innovation and so on. There's also humanics, which is in which the graduate student will consult both a physical sciences professor and a biomedical sciences professor, and will, for example, do research on dream emotions crossed with AI-based EEG analysis, for example, or meta recognition crossed with brain imaging. Whatever your passion is, you will be basically allowed to do it. The master's program in sports and Olympic studies is about, currently we're having Olympics today, right now. So there's Olympic and Paralympic education. Then there's sports management, sports science, medicine, teaching, coaching, and Japanese culture. And by the way, we have many student athletes who are competing in Olympics this time. So, for example, we have a Thai student competing in, I think, and also we have a Pakistani student, our graduate, who's competing in judo this time. So, every year we have students. Every time in the Olympics we have Tsukuba students competing in the Olympics. And we have earned in total over 100 Olympic and Paralympic medals. Heritage science is a cross-disciplinary science in which you have environmentalists, and you have chemists, and you have social scientists who all research together, and then they train the human resources who are necessary to maintain all these amazing artifacts which are being destroyed by environment and war and all kinds of external circumstances. So all these places are need to be protected, and so our program is dedicated to producing human resources who will have the knowledge and the know-how in protecting this rich cultural heritage. Now, back to everybody. This is for everybody. This is student support. So you will be assigned an academic advisor. You will be assigned a personal tutor as well, who will help you with, for example, opening a bank account in Japan, in Tsukuba, which could be challenging. There'll be English speaking staff in the offices. Then there is English counseling and English medical services available as well. And being in Japan, you should learn Japanese. So there are classes available for students to take Japanese, and you can even start today by looking at this. It's www.nihongo123.com, and so please take a look at it and start studying Japanese if you want to go to Japan. Housing option is such: global village. On the left is this amazing, beautiful, again, a global village. It's about $300 per month, plus utilities. And then there's the one on the right is not so nice. It's very old, but again, it does its job. So it's about $150 to $200 per month. And then there are also off-campus options. And so there's a shared house for international and Japanese students. This is the global village I was talking about, the one on the left, the fancier one. And also on-campus services include food courts, and there are 2 halal food cafeterias, which are absolutely delicious. I love going there. And then there's Starbucks on campus, and then there's a supermarket and convenience stores and bookstores, and everything is available on campus, and so on. Okay, so this sort of concludes the explanation of the university. But now I need to talk back to graduate school students here, and I need to talk about how to apply to graduate schools. So I think that there are many people here who are listening today who are looking at graduate schools, and so I need to tell you that it's not so straightforward. It can be a little bit confusing. Okay, and it's mainly because it's all research lab driven. So like, for example, US and UK, you apply to the program, and if the program accepts you, then they will assign you a professor or 2 as your advisor. But in Japan, you have to look for the advisor first. So this is a little bit tricky. So let me show you how. So scroll down to application guideline. This is basically first go into this website. So let's say that you are in the website, okay? And then you go into this section here. And let's say you go into Graduate School of Science and Technology. I talked about it a little bit earlier, right? And then you choose a program of your interest. Let's say, and you choose a math, yeah, master's program mathematics. The first thing you should do is find out the timeline, yeah? This is really important. You have to have a schedule in mind. You can't just suddenly say, hey, I want to go to school tomorrow. No, you need a few months, sometimes a year ahead of time in order to gain all the knowledge and the financing information necessary. Okay, so in terms of math, the selection dates are in August and January to February. Yeah, and so here, this is the timeline. And now look at the admission procedure here. Check your eligibility. You have to have 16 or more years of school curriculum up to university graduation, earn a bachelor's degree. And also this is kind of key here also, it is not necessary, but recommended to earn bachelor's degree of engineering to apply the degree program related to engineering, okay? In other words, even if you're not in engineering, if you don't have a bachelor's in engineering, but you have a bachelor's in math or physics or chemistry, something like that, you might be able to get into an engineering program, yeah? Provided that you convince them, that you make a convincing argument. And then the thing is, you need to find advisors. So contact your prospective advisor, obtain consent to be your supervisor, and consult your research plan in advance. So for example, in our case, we have this database called Trios. And if you go into Trios, you will see the name, official title, you'll see, let's say, you can do like a keyword search. So for example, if you're into augmented reality, then you type in augmented reality and you look into then there's a list of professors who will show up. And then you need to look at a few of them and see if they have written papers in English, because many people haven't published so much in English. They have published in Japanese. It probably means they don't speak much English. Okay, then you will not be able to get into their labs probably. But if they have sort of published a few papers in English, and if you look into, they might have their own website. You do a Google search, look into it, and if they have, if it's in English, or if you see pictures of foreign students in there, then it's probably a very international lab. And then you need to write to the professor and CC the office of that where that professor resides in, and ask and see, and say, I'm really interested in this. Really was impressed by your paper. I'm really, your keyword, your research is interesting to me because this and this. And so then you can kind of like start talking. This is really important. And then once you establish that kind of contact and you get the permission, then you can go ahead and start doing these things. Okay? This is pretty much straightforward. And then you do you fill out the requirements. And again, the requirements are different according to each graduate school. So I cannot say the requirements of each graduate school right now. Right? So you need to find out by yourself. But most importantly, you do need to show that you speak English, right? Through Toefl or TOEIC. You do need to show your research plan, and you do need to show your college certificate. Okay. And you do need to submit them by airmail eventually. The graduate school might accept initially by PDF, but then ultimately you do have to send by airmail, because Japan is kind of traditional that way. And then you will receive further instructions. Okay. So please check out this website, okay? And I wish you the best of luck in looking for graduate schools in Japan. The procedure or the flow that I mentioned just now, is applicable to, I think, many large universities in Japan. So what I've said to you is probably applicable to many universities in Japan. So I wish you the best of luck in your search and research. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shah, for the very comprehensive presentation. We can begin the Q&A session. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A box. Would you like me to pick up a few?
Please.
Okay. Is there masters in robotics?
There is a master's in mechanical, sort of like that sort of, yes, there is. There is no department of robotics per se, okay? But there are labs which do robotic, which do research in robotics and related areas. So be a little bit more specific, yeah. I would say to the student, not to you, Ms. Hoshi, but to the student, what kind of robotics are you talking about? Yeah, because it's like so varied. There's all kinds of robotics. There's robotics that is used in factories. There are robots that are working in retail. There are robots working in hotels. There are robots in nursery homes, in elderly care, to comfort elderly people. So what kind of robotics are you talking about, right? And then do the keyword search I mentioned to you about, yeah, using Trios or whatever the university is, yeah. So look at the professors who are doing your kind of work and approach them. So specificity on your end is important if you need to find the right program and also the right financing, because if you get into a good program and the professor likes you, then I think that he or she or they will help you in finding a good funding for your education.
Okay. Another question is, most of the students have completed their education in English. So is IELTS and TOEFL still mandatory for students to submit?
Yes, I would say check the requirements that are put forward put forth by the program, but I would say that in most cases you do. Now, in the high school, for high school students, if you attended an international school and, for example, you have an IB degree, like International Baccalaureate or something like that, or then you might be able to, you might not have to submit your TOEFL and TOEIC because you did your curriculum 120% in English for the past 3 years. Then you don't need to submit. But most cases, unfortunately, you do need to do TOEFL and or IELTS. But on the good side, Japan doesn't have high language TOEFL or IELTS requirements as they do in the US or UK or Australia, Canada. So for example, UK will demand like 7.5 in IELTS, but in Japan, it will be like 6.5 or 6.
Are there internal scholarships available?
Yes, there is a scuba scholarship that you can apply to. But I'll be very honest, scholarships are getting more and more limited. So the kind of full funding that you would like most is provided by the Japanese government. It's called the MEXT or MEXT scholarship. And so you need to apply that through your embassy. But then again, there's a huge level of competition that is there. So you have to be prepared for the eventuality of not getting the MEXT scholarship. Yeah, and then so please look into the website. There is you can find the admissions page very easily, and you can apply for a scuba scholarship. Also, programs might be offering its own special scholarships. For example, the human biology program I mentioned to you about before, with the human biology, and then I think it said like information sciences and human biology at the bottom, right? So that program has some funding. So for example, it provides about 700 USD per month and tuition off, and it also pays for your any expenses that are related to publication. Yeah. So and it's a 5-year PhD program. So you'll end up with a medical sciences degree, and so they will support you through your career. So it depends on the program. So again, please look into the specific program that you want to go into.
Okay, we can pick up 2 more questions. One question is, are there graduate programs in international history or mechanical engineering?
International history or mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very. I love the. This person is like Da Vinci.
Actually, two
different. Okay,
students asked,
I thought it was the same person. So you were mixing it up. Okay, thanks for doing that, for saving time. But international history would be no, because I think it will be done in Japanese. If you don't speak Japanese, I think it will be very difficult. We have in the humanities in general in Japan there are less programs in English at the graduate level. Is this person an undergraduate or graduate? Do you think? Doesn't say, right?
So for the student who asked me about international history, I suppose he or she is was looking for graduate programs.
Yeah. So then I would say that there's high chance that it's not in English. Okay. Yeah. But the other one, the science related one, mechanical engineering, he said.
He hasn't mentioned anything.
Yeah, but if it's master's level, then yes, definitely, it's available in English.
Okay, one more question.
Can I answer one question?
Yes, sure, please.
Sunil Nayak, what was the Japanese language program again, which is helpful to learn the language and continue with regular studies at Tsukuba University? Okay, so Sunil, thanks for the question. This is for high school students. This is very interesting program. It's for high school students who have some Japanese, who have, for some reason, have been studying Japanese. And so, but their Japanese level is not native level. So it is for people who have like about intermediate level Japanese, and they want to go into undergraduate school. So this is called the Japan Expert Program. Okay, Japan Expert Program. So if you look at if you type Japan Expert Scuba, it'll show up suddenly at the top in your Google search.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Shah, for answering the questions. You can continue answering them when other presentations are happening. And also, I've shared a few links in the chat box of Tsukuba University. So you can continue, you can share a few links at Tsukuba University as well. And yes, once again, thank you so much for the presentation.
No problem. And Amarnath, you said you wanted to talk about assistive robots. Okay, so thanks for following up on that. So definitely assistive robots are heavily researched on at Tsukuba. So please again look into it, Amarnath, and see if you can find a way to apply in a program to a lab that you think will be good for you. Okay, sorry, Ms. Hushi.
No problem. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
So lastly, we'll have a presentation by Japan Science and Technology Agency, JST. So JST is an integrated organization of science and technology. It plays a crucial role in the development, advancement, and commercialization of new technologies in Japan. The organization funds numerous research projects nationally and internationally, and also promotes international joint research to stimulate progress in this realm. Now I'd like to request Mr. Nishikawa, the Advisor for International Relations and Cooperation, to give us an insight into the organization.
Okay, I'm Nishikawa of JST, Japan Science and Technology Agency. I put up some slides. Just hold on. Okay, and today I'm going to talk about briefly on our Sakura Science program. This is a program for short-term invitation program. So we will invite people from all over the world to Japan for a short time. That means 1 to 3 weeks. Just it comes under the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. And then we have an office in New Delhi. We operate this office together with the University of Tokyo, who acts on behalf of the Ministry of Education. And then this is the location, very close to Deer Park in New Delhi. And then we have a joint research program. For example, with India, we have several projects which is going on with Japanese university and the Indian universities, and like this one. So today I mainly focus on Sakura Science program because today is a big day for you also. And then, so this program is just a short introductory program. So if you are a high school student or university student, if you want to come to Japan for future career study in Japan, then maybe you can somehow manage to visit Japan by this program for a short period and to find what Japan looks like. So in the past, it was from 41 countries, but now starting this year, we invite from all countries. And also in the past, it was only for science and engineering students, but now it is open to humanities and social science. So almost all the people can apply and come to by this program. But this is a open application type of program. And then only the Japanese host organization, host university, host schools, they can apply. So if you are a student, for example, in India or Sri Lanka or Nepal, you cannot directly apply to this program. So this is the point. Only the Japanese hosting university, receiving organization can apply for this program. And then there's an age limitation. So starting at 15 and up to 40. So 15 means in class 10. That is comparable to equivalent to Japanese high school. High school class 1 in high school or equivalent to class 10, for example, in India. So starting class 10, 11, 12, and then university students also can apply. And then this is the example. For example, this is the University of Tokyo. University of Tokyo invited 10 computer science students, 7 graduate and undergraduate students as well. And then this student from IIT Delhi, IIT Hyderabad, Kharagpur, Madras, and so on. So they invited us, they conducted some short research program together with them. So this is just one example. And then these are the list of universities who accept students from outside by using this Sakura Science program in terms of the numbers of EBTs. But number one is Miyazaki University. So the last 6 years, they invited over 750 people. And Okayama University, Osaka University, Tokyo Metropolitan University, Shibaura Institute of Technology, Kyushu Institute of Technology, University of Tokyo, Tokyo University of Science, and so on. So there are many Japanese universities who apply and invite so many hundreds of people from outside of Japan. So this is figures. This program, Sakura Science program, started in 2014. And then up to 2019, we already over 33,000 people from 41 countries visited Japan. For example, India, 2,849 people from India visited Japan by this program. For example, in the case of Sri Lanka, it is 329. And unfortunately, due to COVID-19 pandemic, in the year 2020, there is nobody who visited by this program, visited Japan by this program. So, but already we are looking at this year, towards the end of this year, maybe invitation will gradually resume. And then for those people who visit Japan by this program, automatically becomes a member of Sakura Science Club. This is an alumni group, alumni association. So in case of India, we had the first alumni meeting in India in October 2018. And this is the Japanese ambassador's official residence in New Delhi. And that time, our main guest was Professor Vijay Raghavan. He's a principal scientific officer to the government of India, very top person in science and technology in India. And that time, we selected coordinators for this India Sakura Science Alumni Association. Dr. Jitendra Chu, he's assistant professor of ISA Pune. He is now he's the main coordinator of this alumni association. So, and this is the second time. It was held in 2020 February, just before the COVID-19 start. So we successfully held this meeting at IIT Delhi campus. This is myself, and these are all the members of Sakura Science Club. And then we had this alumni this year, just in May, 29th May, we had this third alumni meet for India, but only online. So this is the main speakers. He's a main coordinator, I should say president of the Alumni Association, and the Japanese ambassador and the Indian ambassador from India, also he participated. Those top people are, he's Miyazaki from University of Tokyo, India office, he's the director of India office. So we had this, Sri Lanka also we had an alumni meeting. Also alumni meeting was held in Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and also in China and Singapore as well. So if you, and then most important thing I just mentioned is this one, sending organization, that means your school, if you're a student, your school or your university is a sending organization. In each country should have receiving organization, host organization in Japan. Because as I told you, receiving organization, host organizations can only apply to us and then get the funding. So if this proposal is accepted, I think you can come to Japan almost free of charge, because nearly 100% of the expenses are to be borne by this program. So if you're a student, then please speak to your principal, to your teacher. And if you're a university student, please speak to your professor or vice chancellor, and then make them somehow, persuade them to apply, find a partner in Japan, and then make a tie-up and then apply for this program. And then in each program, about a group of 10 people, 10 students can visit Japan by this program. So most important thing is that host organization. Finding the host organization is the most important. So if you are a high school student or maybe undergraduate student, then you have a big chance. So try to do something about this, and please visit, and I hope to see you in Japan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nishikawa, for the very detailed presentation. This marks the end of our webinar. Thank you to all the panelists and attendees for participating in today's webinar. Recordings of the webinars conducted earlier are uploaded to the U-Tokyo India office site. The link is shared in the chat box. Also, please feel free to contact the universities personally for additional information. Once again, thank you for attending the webinar, and we hope to see you in the coming webinars.